Welcome to Talk of the Town. I'm your host, Ellen Barrett, and we have a great show for you today. And we are starting off with another familiar face today. This is Bernie Tennis. He's the board president over at the Wisconsin Alliance of Artists and Craftspeople. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
And we had you on, it seems, like it was just yesterday. It was a couple months ago, I guess now.
A couple months ago, last summer.
Talking about a cool event. And now we're talking about another event. And I love it because I know me personally, I get kind of down when it starts to get cold outside. You start thinking about snow and you think there's nothing to do anymore. And you've got to fight that urge to, stay in your house or apartment in your PJs and get out and go explore and try something new. So you're going to tell us a little bit more about an event today called the Winter Art Fair Off the Square. And in the summertime, we had talked about the Art Fair Off the Square that was in the summer. So tell us a little bit about how the Winter Art Fair Off the Square is going to work.
Well, this is the companion event to the Art Fair Off the Square in the summertime, which always takes place on the first weekend after 4th of July on Martin Luther King Boulevard between Monroe Terrace and the Capitol. And this is the winter companion event. It takes place the second or third weekend in November. This year it's on the 19th and 20th of November. It's at Monroe Terrace, coming up right way at the exhibition hall. We fill up the exhibition hall with artists. We have 135 of them there, so it's about the same size as the Art Fair Off the Square in the summertime. And like the summertime fair, it's all local Wisconsin artists. And it's just a big event full of lights and music and people and lots of great art.
Sounds like a lot of fun. And I want to learn more too about the type of art that you can find there. Is there like specific types or is it a little bit of everything or?
Just about anything imaginable is represented by our artists in 2D work. We have painting, we have jewelry, we have fiber, we have metal work, we have woodwork, we have sculpture of all types. In the 3D area. Other 2D, we have drawing and printmaking, and we have just any type of artwork imaginable.
That's awesome because even if maybe you don't feel like you're personally experienced in art, you can go there and learn, I'm sure, so much and see something maybe you've never seen before or find an appreciation for something maybe you didn't know that you had. So that's super cool. And I know you had also mentioned music and things like that. So what else is going on at the fair?
Yes, it's an event. It's a festival, really. Monroe Terrace has food served, and we have music, live music all weekend. We have silent auction on Saturday, which runs all day on Saturday. Winning bidders can pick up their work at the end of the day on Saturday. We also have a Young Collectors Corner, which is this place where young people ages 12 and under can come and purchase real local creative art from our artists at the fair at reasonable prices. Everything in that area is priced at $5, $7, or $9. Wow. And new last year and continuing this year, we have Hero Beads, which is a fundraiser for the Badger Childhood Cancer Network. And you can find those people and their beads at the information desk.
That's incredible, and that's awesome that it really is a whole family event. You can bring everybody in the family, kids included, which is just great.
Yes, we love to have kids, we love families.
So where are these artists from? I know you mentioned Wisconsin. Are they coming from all over the state?
Indeed. We have people from they're all local Wisconsin artists, but from all over Wisconsin, from the Illinois border up to the Northwoods and from the Mississippi River over to Lake Michigan. Wow. And all points in between. And they do lots of art fairs within the state, but they're not limited. They travel around the Midwest widely, some even who are full-time artists and travel the entire country and do large art fairs throughout the states. All of them are professional artists in that they may be full-time and it's their livelihood, or if they are not full-time, it still is a portion of their income, even if they are part-time artists. And they get out and do art fairs, or they do other things. They're represented by galleries. They sell their work online. They sell their work out of their own homes. But regardless of how they promote and market their work, all of us have this art fair thing in common.
Absolutely, and you can just see so much, meet so many different people. Be sure to check it out. It's coming up on November 19th and 20th at the Monona Terrace Exhibition Hall. It's only $5 to get in the door, correct?
That's correct.
That's
correct.
an incredible price. Bring the whole family. There's art for everyone to see, or maybe you just want to kind of look around and browse or actually shop. There's something for everybody. And again, this is Bernie Tennis. He's the board president over at the Wisconsin Alliance of Artists and Craftspeople. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
And we'll be back with more Talk of the Town here on Wisconsin's 57 right after this. Welcome back to Talk of the Town, and I am joined now by our news partner, Wild, and this is Irv Carpenter, and you are the executive director over at Wild. Thanks for being with us today.
Well, I am, and thank you. It's nice to be here again.
We always appreciate having you here, and we're talking about a new educational concept today, and that's the Wild Intervention Hub. So before we get into my questions, because I want to learn more about this, could you just give me a little background about what that is or what that means?
Sure. The Intervention Hub is what we've done is we've taken our wonderful teacher training program and our really great educational instructional instrument, which is our computer program.
Sure.
And we put it together, and we're now leasing it to school districts around the state and the nation.
Wow.
Yeah. So we're trying. Our mission, of course, is to get to as many children and adults as we possibly can to teach them how to read. So this intervention or this hub concept is basically doing just that, reaching more and more children in our public schools and helping to close the achievement gap.
I mean, that's just got to be a huge achievement for you guys. So congratulations, number one.
Thank
but
you.
how incredible what a great way to implement,
Yes.
something that's great and works. And what has the response been to the intervention, RTI?
Well, we have two interested school districts.
Okay.
We're actually working with one Whitnall Public School District.
Okay.
And we have just finished our teacher training portion of that, and we're just now getting the two interventionists within the hub situated and actually doing the work they need to do in Tier 2 and Tier 3 interventions in that school district.
Wow, sounds like a lot of different moving parts.
And there's
From the sounds of it.
Yeah.
That's awesome, though. That's great. And I want to ask you, too, how does the Carpenter Language Achievement and Strategies System, or CLASS, and its computer deliver system fit into the RTI?
Well, it's actually the combination of both
Sure.
that makes the hub work.
Okay.
It was actually developed for the Madison School District, but I wasn't able to present that to them. They weren't interested in it,
Sure.
so I'm presenting it to other school districts. But for larger school districts that have, Madison has 55, I believe it's 55 outer lying schools, we can put an intervention hub in one building with, say, 5 or 6 interventionists that can deliver a curriculum
Sure.
that can help the children achieve reading skills
Okay.
and bring them up. So it's really doing computer teaching to every one of those schools from one location within the school district.
And that kind of, I feel like, ties into my next question, because I know you keep mentioning a hub, and I keep thinking about a wheel, and you've got all the spokes coming off of it and that sort of thing. So is that what that concept is kind of all
That's exactly
about?
the concept, sure.
Okay, that's really a really cool idea, and you can impact a lot of people
Sure.
that way.
And when you think about it, it saves the school district money in a sense that it really does put those interventionists in one place, and they can connect and deliver a really good intervention to all of their schools without hopping in their car and driving over here and driving over there. And so, so it puts it all in one central location. And basically that whole hub concept has everything woven into it to where you can keep track of the progress monitoring for all the students and actually have a very successful program.
That's got to be a huge benefit to them, not only increasing the efficiency, but all the time that it would normally take to probably reach that many people.
Yes.
Oh, that's got to be
Yes.
huge.
Yeah.
So I know you mentioned this as well, but what Wisconsin school districts, again, are using this program?
Whitnall,
Okay.
over in Hales Corners, that's over by Milwaukee. They're using it.
Awesome.
We also have a Spec Tech Inc. up in Weyerhaeuser, Wisconsin. that I'm just now in negotiations with and talking to them about putting a hub in for their a spec tech or a technical school. So, and there's a couple of other that we're trying to sell it to. So.
Awesome, incredible stuff, and I'll be excited to touch base with you in the coming months and see how it's working so far and see what the results are, because that's really what it's all about, is the impact on those people.
Absolutely, and the children.
It'll be great to see.
Let's close the achievement gap.
Absolutely, that's a great goal, and you guys are helping do that, so kudos to you guys. We love having you here. And again, this is Irv Carpenter. He's the Executive Director over at Wild, and we'll be back with more Talk of the Town here on Wisconsin's 57 right after this. Welcome back to Talk of the Town. I am joined now by Caitlin Gaynor, and she is the Communications Manager over at DAYS. And if you're not familiar with DAYS, that stands for Domestic Abuse Intervention Services. Thank you so much for being here today. I appreciate it so much.
Thank you for having me.
We're excited to have you on the show. October was obviously Domestic Abuse Awareness Month.
Yep.
So a great time to bring you in and kind of talk about the issues even more. And I want to start off with this question here about how prevalent is domestic violence in Dane County, because I did a little bit of research on your website and this really surprised me.
Yeah, you know, it's a pretty shocking issue with how vastly it impacts people within our community, across the country, across the globe, really. But some of the numbers are that 1 in 4 women and 1 in 7 men will be impacted by domestic violence in their lifetime. Wow. And that's just the cases that are reported. We know this is a really difficult issue, and so only about 1/4 of assault cases are actually reported. So that's just an estimate of kind of what the issue looks like. But you know, when you kind of bring that down to what happens here in Dane County, DAYS estimates that about 12,000 incidents occur within Dane County every year, which is about 33 incidents per day right here in our own county in Wisconsin.
33 per day.
33 per day is what we estimate, just based on those numbers of 1 in 4 women and 1 in 7 men, and about 12,000 incidents a year.
Wow,
yeah.
That is a huge number.
It is.
I think that's probably shocking to a lot of people.
Yes, it is.
So why would you say domestic violence happens?
Yeah,
it's kind of a big question.
It is a big question, and it's a very complicated question. But you know, it really, when we think about the issue of domestic abuse, a lot of times it's considered kind of a woman's issue, might be considered a private in-home issue. But you know, one thing that we're really trying to do at DAYS right now is to kind of open up the eyes a little bit more and see it as a community issue.
Absolutely.
Because you know, domestic abuse happens because of an individual's decision to maintain power and control over their partner. But you know, when we really look at the impacts that lead these people to those decisions, we have to look at how our community supports an environment that might allow for this to happen. We have to look at society and how it might give people an idea that, you know, through sexist language, through the media representation of different things, that, you know, we might see something and think that that's the way that we should be treated, or that we should treat somebody else, and that power and control mentality. And so we really need to look at it at a really broad level to see, okay, an individual's making these decisions, how did we get there? So it is very complicated, but I think it's something that we're really trying to look at in a really broad way to really understand how all of these factors intersect with each other, to create a community that unfortunately has domestic abuse in it.
I think that's a really important point, and a different way of looking at an issue as a community issue, you know, in that light. And I think it makes it a lot easier to think about how we can change that dynamic as well. I can see the positivity of, as a, you know, community, how we can all come together on that.
Each of us can do something about it, which is very empowering.
So who does domestic violence affect? I know you said some statistics there with women versus men. Sounds like it's a bit of a mix.
Yeah, and you know, it's one of those things where domestic abuse really, there are no boundaries for it. It affects people across all levels, gender, ethnicities, sexual orientation, disability status, socioeconomic level. It really has no boundaries when it comes to who it impacts. But as we talk about it as a community issue, we kind of need to broaden how we see the impact of domestic abuse and really think about how wide it can affect people. I mean, you think about a child that might be in a violent home. They take that to school. Maybe they're too tired to function. Maybe they might be acting out. You know, we think about maybe a colleague of ours is in an abusive relationship. They take that to work. Maybe they can't focus at work. Maybe they have to take time off of work. Even within our own social circles, our friends and family that might be impacted by domestic abuse, you know, they might be isolating themselves. They might not know how to talk about it. So it really does make an impact on a broader level than, you know, just that individual. And obviously we want to support that individual and empower them them as much as we can. But as we think about a community issue, we really need to look at how this is going to impact people, as really an unfortunate ripple effect.
What services does DAYS offer to maybe those who have been affected by domestic violence, or maybe you're a family or friend of someone who you think might be?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked, because there definitely is hope. As we're talking about this difficult issue, there are definitely services out there, including DAYS, and we provide a wide array of services that are available to not only survivors and victims of domestic abuse, but also their family and friends. We've got a 24-hour helpline. We have an emergency shelter for victims of domestic abuse. We have support groups that are for individuals that are in abusive relationships, as well as a monthly one for friends and family who are supporting someone in an abusive relationship. We have legal advocates on staff. We have children's programming. It's quite an array.
So a lot of different services, it sounds like, that you can take advantage of. And I wish we had more time today. I think this is just such an important issue to bring awareness to. And that community mindset, I think, is something we can all, get on board with and make a change together. Again, this is Caitlin Gaynor with DAYS Domestic Abuse Intervention Services. Thank you so much for being with us today. And we'll be back with more Talk of the Town here on Wisconsin's 57 Television right after this. Welcome back to Talk of the Town, and I am joined now by Sherry Castelnuovo, and she is the Curator of Education over at MMOCA, or the Madison Museum of Contemporary Art. Thank you so much for being with us today.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
We're so happy to have you here, and we're talking about the Kids Art Adventures.
Right.
They're ongoing, correct?
They're ongoing.
So let's start there, and why do families love it so much, and what is it?
Well, Kids Art Adventures, it's the only regularly scheduled program for families to come to an art museum, have guided discussion in the galleries led by an experienced educator, and then make art related to that experience in the museum gallery. So parents have a chance to come to the museum with their children and have somebody help model what it's like to go into a museum, really investigate a work of art in an imaginative way, and then make art that you wouldn't really be able to do at home. We try to emphasize projects, materials that wouldn't easily be on hand in someone's home so that they can really extend what their children are able to experience and explore.
That is so cool, because sometimes I think even as an adult it can be just kind of intimidating to go in and, maybe you think you don't have enough experience or you don't know exactly what to do. And what a cool way to reach the young people in our communities at an early age and show them how they can appreciate it.
Yes, that's very true. And we really want parents to understand that there are ways that they can come into the museum and just enjoy themselves by simply asking questions as a family of the artwork that's there. There are no wrong answers when it comes to thinking about what does a work of art mean to me. Look at the clues in the art object and think about how it associates with your life or your ideas, and that's absolutely perfectly fine. And that's one of the wonderful things about contemporary art. It opens up all of that divergent kind of experience.
What a great thing to do as a family, too. Make a tradition out of it is something maybe you do every Sunday together. And if somebody can't make it down on those Sundays, a grandparent or a parent in the family, are there other events going on that they can check out?
We have a whole range of resources we've developed over the years for families for just a drop-in basis, because we know how busy families are. It doesn't always work to come in on the second Saturday of the month and come to a drop-in art workshop.
Sure.
So we have learning centers that we've set up in our exhibitions that you can just come in. It's free choice learning. There are a whole variety of activities that get at different ways that kids might like to learn and explore. If you're a builder or like to read or draw or explore with materials, we have all of that there for you that you can just come in and use. MMOCA is free. We don't have admissions to the museum, so you can come in at any point. We want it to be as accessible as possible. We also have something called an art pack, and that's something you can sign out free from the museum's lobby desk. And it's a little handy shoulder bag filled with all these different discovery activities, again, looking at different ways in which you can look at a work of art, think about it, explore your feelings and ideas, look at compositional elements, make drawings. So again, it's meant to be very flexible. It could be used anywhere in the museum, any exhibition, at any time. And because our shows change every 3 months, you can use it over and over and over again to explore new exhibitions and get into those particular works of art in new ways. So it's a really handy and fun, easy way for a family to come in and enjoy what's on view.
Now, it's very clear that you guys are so family friendly. Why is that so important to you guys, as a mission, as part of the museum?
We think it's very important to, as you said earlier, introduce children to visual art early on.
Sure.
And that art museums are places for not only learning, but fun and exploration. You can learn about yourself when you come into an art museum, learn about the world around you. And visual art is one of the languages of being a human being. I mean, it's one of the ways we communicate, and we all are artists in one way or another.
Right.
And so I think providing ways to make those connections early with professional artists and with exhibitions that come in from all over the country and that we also organize, it's just a way to broaden a child's understanding of the world and ways to really gain information and insight. So we want them to feel welcome when they come
Now,
in.
we've only got about a minute left, but I do want to touch on what you guys have at the museum right now and what might be coming up that families might be interested in.
Well, on November 13th is our next Kids Art Adventure, and
Perfect.
the exhibition that we have right now is the Wisconsin Triennial. I'd really encourage parents to come in and see that show. It's about 40 artists
Sure.
who have their artworks on view in the museum throughout the entire museum. And there are some interactive objects too. There's a piece by Michael Kautzer, for example. It's a small barn, and children can go in and manipulate different parts of it. But the Kids Art Adventure is focusing on a work by Emily Arthur, a wonderful artist who explores environmental themes. And so that's coming up. And then December is another one in which we'll talk about abstract painting. And then in the wintertime, we'll have an exhibition, Doho Sa, who creates these wonderful sculptures, large reproductions, essentially, of the homes he's lived in transparent fabric that you can walk through. So we'll have exploration activities for that. Kids Art Adventures related to that. And also in this winter, we have Young at Art, which is a show we do every 2 years with Madison Metropolitan School District's Art Education Department. So it's art by young people in the museum from kindergarten through grade 12. That will also have some kids' art adventures related to. So there's a lot to see over the next few months.
A lot going on. Be sure to check them out over at the Madison Museum of Contemporary Art. Sherry, thank you so much for being with us today.
It's a real pleasure.
And thank you for watching, and thanks to all of our guests today. You can watch us next time only on Wisconsin's 57.